Hello, my name is James Robinson, and I'm presenting on cloud computing and open source software. So the main reason why I actually wanted to do this is because I have a really big interest in open source, and I had a feeling before that prior that cloud computing software might actually kind of overtake open source in some sort of way, how they could act dependently from each other. And I thought that it was kind of a little bit messed up that cloud computing can use open source software and actually make it into their own proprietary and monetize it. After reading this article, though, it highlights a lot of reasons why cloud computing and open source technology go hand in hand. This article over here. And there's actually a lot of applications in cloud computing that use open source that benefit both open source and cloud computing technologies. So I left reading this article with a better understanding of how actually cloud computing is not making open source go away. It's actually it benefits both the open source community and the cloud computing community. Also, cloud computing and open source, they have a lot to do with distributed systems. I actually asked for special permission to talk about this just because I have such an interest in the open source community. And I was kind of nervous of the fact that cloud computing was being introduced. And it was a really good article for me to read because it gave me a lot of perspective that I would have never had before. And yeah, so yeah, so so cloud computing and open source are two essential technologies in today's landscape. This is what the introduction starts with introducing. And so cloud computing provides easy on-demand access to computing services, while OSS, open source software, allows for users to adapt, improve source code. The articles explore the different types of cloud services, the deployment models, as well as the benefits of using OSS. So there have also been, so the article also relates to how there have been numerous studies, and it pretty much picks apart a lot of these studies that were considering what are the benefits and drawbacks of using cloud computing compared to open source technologies. And so these studies primarily focused on topics such as building open source cloud environments for bioinformatics, biomedical workflows, cost and scalability, security. And one notable finding from these is that OpenStack is the most comprehensive infrastructure in cloud computing and open source. So basically, OpenStack is being used by both cloud computing and software as a service for its main benefits in being open source. So cloud computing and open source actually share a lot of benefits, including, so it's very cost effective to use cloud computing, and it's cost effective to use open source because open source is free. Cloud computing is also very cost effective because it allows for administrative scaling, and it's very lightweight in terms of DevOps. It's much easier to track, and it uses a lot of open source technology that improves upon these several points. But there are several advantages and disadvantages to them, but they actually kind of complement each other in some weird ways, as I'll show ahead. So cloud computing provides on-demand self-service, meaning that cloud facilities are provided automatically as required by the user without human interactions. And this is what I was saying, how it's great for administrative scalability, because since a lot of that is already built in the back end, you don't need as much expertise and special people hired to maintain a project. And so this offers quick access to resources and services. Additionally, cloud computing enables for resource pooling, which allows for efficient resource utilization and scalability. So there's also so the benefits of open source software include that it offers flexibility. meaning it can be installed and hosted anywhere and on a great interoperability. As in, like, it's able to, since it's open source and people are able to view the source code completely, they know exactly how it would fit into other models, and it works great if you're creating your own microservices that you need to know dependencies, because you might not get that type of transparency with, or you definitely won't get that type of transparency with proprietary cloud services. It also, because it's very transparent, it has a very good security aspect. It's maintained by community developers, and if something goes wrong, it's going to be fixed very quickly because it's used widely by a lot of different people. So in order for it to be secure, open source is generally considered to be more secure than cloud platforms. So the article also brings up 4 different open source technologies that are open source software technologies that are used in cloud computing. And these examples are also considered to be better than using their cloud counterparts, because the cloud counterparts actually use these embedded in their systems. So these 4 examples are XCP, Eucalyptus, OpenNebula, and OpenStack, and I'll introduce you these 4. So XCP, or Zen Cloud Platform, provides an environment for administrators and an API for developers of cloud management systems. It uses a hypervisor, and a hypervisor is a key component of XCP. It's a software that enables the creation and management of multiple virtual machines on a single physical host. This way, it allows efficient use of hardware resources by sharing them among multiple virtual instances. And it's used by several cloud providers such as Amazon EC2, Nimbus, XCP, and XCP's basic component is the XCP host, and the host basically communicates with any other with one another, and it's combined in the resource pool. It provides a shared storage for virtual machine migration. It's a key feature, preventing disruptions by accounts on the system and allocating subkernels to each account. So overall, XCP has made deploying EC2 much easier while maintaining interoperability. So therefore, you can have a virtual machine that is an EC2 instance, and it will also be interoperable with other outside instances that are not EC2 or AWS. And the shared storage for virtual machine migration is also the key feature of the interoperability. Okay, so Eucalyptus is a platform that bridges open cloud software with enterprise solutions and enables private and hybrid cloud installations. So it's a 4-component architecture, which includes node controllers, cluster controllers, cloud controller, and storage controller. And Eucalyptus provides increased flexibility in managing VMs and supports various hypervisors and network configurations. And this is another open source software that's constantly used in cloud computing platforms. And so OpenNebula is an open source toolkit that facilitates storage, network, virtualization on distributed infrastructure. Its modular design allows for integration with different hypervisors and environments. And OpenNebula architecture includes a front end and set of host nodes for executing virtual machines with 3 layers: tool, core, and drivers. So the last one that they introduced is OpenStack, which is also used in several cloud computing applications. And it's developed by NASA, and it supports petabytes of data. You can set up several tens of thousands of virtual machines at a click of a button. And it supports various virtualization solutions and has a 3-component architecture: OpenStack, compute, image, and object. As an open source platform, OpenStack is flexible, customizable, features distributed architecture, and redundancy for high availability and reliability. So in the conclusion, basically, it brings up the benefits of open source software and how it's not actually combative to cloud computing services, proprietary services. It offers a dynamic, so cloud computing offers a dynamic infrastructure for applications and data storage, making it convenient and accessible to anyone with a network connection. Open source software provides a cost-effective, customizable, and flexible alternative to proprietary software, contributing to the growth of cloud computing. So they actually really do benefit each other. And so, and specifically, open source software projects such as OpenStack have played a crucial role in enhancing cloud activities, offering a more customizable, versatile solution for cloud computing. However, as with any technology, security is a very big concern, and the security vulnerabilities in open source software must receive greater attention to ensure cloud security. So basically, open source software, as I came into this, I originally thought that open source software could possibly be taken over by proprietary means, but open source software seems to be a lot in the main encapsulation of security and also interoperability. So it makes it so much easier to connect with other distributed systems and other microservices if you have that type of platform, because it's very transparent, easy to read, and therefore there's really no reason to not have open source for specific applications. It made me kind of think that since open source is very useful in these specific areas, it's always going to be something to improve on. It's always going to have a large community, and there's no real threat to having cloud computing proprietary standards take over any aspect of open source. So, thank you.